Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this evening with a special live examination. We are looking at the Bourbon County 2023, the new Bourbon County original variant, 14% alcohol and 60 IBUs apparently, according to Untapped. I am joined this fine evening by Mr. Michael Kornroff, the Stout King in Brooklyn, New York. Good evening,
hello,
Michael.
John and Bumpy.
And cheers, Mr. Bumpy Road Brews down there up there, I should say, from where I am in New Hampshire. So welcome in, guys. Let's just go ahead, crack these open, pour them up, and then we'll start getting some aromas and flavors and just go around and talk about it. I'm very excited to try this new year. I'm glad that they've raised the ABV back up to 14.6. I found that the 14%, the 14.1 were just not quite as good. Cheers to Tanner in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's do it, guys. I've had mine sitting out for about an hour, so it's not room temperature, but it's not ice cold. It's
Mine's been out for
right at that sweet spot.
Okay. Oh, they tell you the flavor notes.
They've done that, on the top part of the label there.
Yeah, I never noticed that before.
It says what? Oat caramel, vanilla, cacao, cherry, caramelized sugar, and almond. That's interesting. All right,
better than caramelized onion, because if you get that, then.
Yeah, that's right. Caramelized onions in your Bourbon County, that wouldn't be desirable. So there's the pour on mine. It did pour with a little bit of a head, but you can see that it just disappeared very quickly.
John, the nose is going to knock you over. When you smell it, John, it's going to knock you over.
It smells amazing.
It's really intense.
A lot of
now, for whatever reason, mine is maintaining an early head. It may go in the next, 4 minutes, but I have a head at the beginning anyway.
Yeah,
it seems to be a fast fade head, though. Bourbon. You've seen the kind of beer like this where it starts out up to here and then it starts going.
Right. I'm already loving the aroma. It's a lot of bourbon right up front, a lot of roasted malt, and I'm getting that dark fruit and that tobacco that I always get with the Bourbon County, that sweet tobacco aroma.
That almond definitely comes through. It's like an almond cream.
There's a little bit of a nuttiness. If I didn't read the label and see almond on there, I don't know if I would have actually said, that would be my first thought.
Like that almond, the almond, like you get those the granola type bars, and they have like the melted like almond nut stuff on them.
Like almond butter like that. Yeah, there's a little bit of a
right after because you get the cherry and stuff right up front.
Right.
I'm getting some of the oak and vanilla as well in mine.
Yeah, a lot of oak, a lot of bourbon for me. Like caramel toffee on the nose as well.
Yeah, but yeah, all the other stuff, the dark fruits, that kind of plum raisin-esque type note that you mentioned.
Yeah. Bourbon Bounty is in the chat. Cheers to you. So
dark to mid chocolate.
Yeah, definitely some chocolate.
Did somebody mention the cherry note?
Yes. It's got that bourbon, almost like the it's not medicinal though, thank God. But it does have
I'm not sure.
A lot of times I can't think of bourbons right now. There's certain ones that have this kind of like cherry note, but to me I pick up like a medicinal cherry note out of them a lot. So this has the cherry without the medicinal part of it.
Bumpy, what does your head look like? Do you have a little bit of a head on yours? Because John's came out
it's
flat.
pretty much gone down to nothing, but yeah.
And mine has diminished also. It's still a little bit on the top, but it's on its way down. Anyway, it's hard for a beer at 14.6 to maintain a head.
Alcohol legs.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see as we drink it down if there's any lacing, and definitely I filled mine up pretty good. So once I drink it down a little bit, I'm sure if I swirl it around, I'll pick up on some nice alcohol legs. But why don't we go ahead and just start drinking it? And,
okay,
we'll
cheers,
discuss,
everybody. I'm ready for my first sip. Cheers, Bumpy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my God, that is rich. That is good. First thing I pick up on is the tobacco, and then the dark fruit after that, like a date, maybe a little fig in there as well. But dark fruit, tobacco, and then you get that
Chocolate.
oak and vanilla kind of in the middle. At least that's how I'm picking it up. This one is really, really good. I can already tell you with certainty that this is better than last year's. Just it's got more character. It's got a little bit more of everything. And I really think that
Are you noticing
elevated
any
alcohol before they have
the alcohol is masked pretty well too.
Yeah. This drink's like an 8%er.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't drink super boozy, but there's so much like barrel presence and notes and the dark fruit and the tobacco. Like, it's a high alcohol beer, but it doesn't drink like it's super boozy. I'll give you that. Cheers to Josh, who's in the chat. Bourbon Bounty says, yeah, he is a copycat.
Josh, go get yourself some, Josh.
Yeah, that'll be the day. Josh refuses to drink Bourbon County for whatever reason.
Do you know what his hostility is? Does he have a reason?
He just doesn't like to support InBev, Anheuser-Busch. He likes he only buys like local craft beer
and White Claw.
And White Claw, yeah.
I mean, it reaches the point, if you really want to try something that's terrific, you have to suck it up and be willing to whatever it takes.
Just suck it up, and that's right. Suck it up, Josh. Man, this is really good.
There is like a touch of leather too. After everything, kind of the finish, I'm left with a little bit of leatherness.
That caramelized onion's really coming through. No, I'm just kidding. The caramelized sugar, the caramelized sugar that toffee, which is toffee flavor, is really coming through. It's got that toffee, that burnt sugar note, which really also complements the roasted malt. Like, it just goes hand in hand. It is pretty roasty too. You get the dark chocolate from the roasted malt, but it's not burnt or anything like that. But there is a pretty significant roastiness with this one in the middle as well. I think all these flavors are just coming together beautifully. Like, this is the first year I did it, I think, was 2017. And I think we probably did it. I think a few of them got lost with the whole deletion thing that happened a couple years ago. But
great delete.
But I've got all the way back to 2017. Yeah, I've got all the way.
I'm
back
just thinking. I know that we've done a group together like this before with this, and I remember like absolutely loving one prior to this. So this one's definitely not my favorite, personally.
This is my favorite from the recent ones that we've had, 2020, 2021.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite going all the way back to like 2017 or 2018. Because I think 2019 and 2020, 2020, 2021, and 2022, they dropped it down. One year it was right at 14% because I could get it in Georgia. It was right at the cutoff at 14. And then there was another year where it was 14.1. And I thought those were excellent, but they weren't on the same level as the 14.6s that I've had.
This one, though, to me, it just falls off in the end. It just falls flat.
You're talking about in the finish?
Yeah. It finishes, it just kind of dies. A lot of the flavors are gone. You're just kind of left with like a cola type thing or something.
I find, I'm picking up. So for me, when I swallow it down, the dark fruit and that tobacco, that sweet tobacco note linger a little bit. which I really like. Like the dark fruit notes with this seem to be amped up a little bit versus last year. And I don't know if that's the barrels they use this time or if it's because of the slightly elevated alcohol kind of allows that flavor to cling to the insides of your mouth a little bit better. I don't know, but yeah, this is one of my, I can already say that this is one of my favorite years for the standard Bourbon County that I can remember, going all the way back to 2017 for me personally.
And I think I'm with you, but maybe the 2017 might have been better than this. From my memory.
2017, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that was the really good year. I think, if I remember.
That's going.
There was one where it was like absolutely nuts. We had Robert the Whiskey Scout on, and everybody. That one was just, I think, phenomenal. We're picking up notes, and that
mine is still a little bit colder. So as it gets warmer, I might get some taste that I haven't gotten yet, and even some of the ones you've gotten, I haven't gotten yet. But I am getting the dark fruit.
Yeah, mine's only a half hour out.
Hey, there's a little head there. I just topped it off. But I will say too, one thing that stands out to me is the carbonation. It seems like it's got a little bit more fizz to it than last year's variant. It's not like a high carbonation beer by any means, but it's got like a very fine effervescence to it.
It's a little bit thinner.
It's a little bit thinner, you think?
Thinner, yeah. I don't think it's as full body.
So you think it's less full body than other years you've had?
I think that's why the finish to me doesn't last too.
Okay.
It's not sticking to my palate. It's not sticky.
I've always found that the Bourbon County is a little thinner in regards to like the viscosity and the stickiness that you speak of, which is one of the reasons that I like it better than other stouts, because I don't really like when you get that thick motor oil type feeling and that in the lingering like residual.
Yeah, I don't like to drink marshmallow, but
yeah, I don't find that it's thin in the flavor. It may be a little thinner as in body, but for me that's a plus because I don't want a motor oil sticky sweet clingy beer. Nobody likes a stage 5 clinger.
I would call it medium body, medium and not full body. It's medium body, but more toward the full side.
Cheers to Beer Man Lap. Ian, your buddy Ian's in the chat, or our buddy Ian, I guess, is in the chat. Says, I bought a couple bottles a couple of weeks ago. They're at home. They're in New Hampshire, so I guess Ian's not home right now.
He travels between New Hampshire and Pennsylvania.
Okay. That's right, Pennsylvania. I didn't realize.
I don't know what part of New Hampshire he's in. You could ask him what part of New Hampshire he's in.
What part of Well, hey, if you're in New Hampshire, Ian, you should visit the Packy. There's 2 locations. One of them is in Manchester, and the other one is in Hooksett, New Hampshire.
He's been coming to New Hampshire for a lot of years with his job.
Wow. Oh, he's down in Portsmouth. So, yeah, you probably just go to a craft beer cellar down there.
Man, this is really good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing out on here. So the almond that we were talking about earlier from the label, and you picked up on the nose. Are you guys getting the almond on the palate? I'm not necessarily getting that flavor, really. It's more dark fruit, barrel, and tobacco for me. I'm not really getting like a nuttiness on the palate. Are you guys picking
I'm
that up?
not getting it either. I think I may have had a little nuttiness in the nose when I first
I get on the finish, and that's the thing. The nuttiness came up for me on the afterthought of the aroma. It's like the tail end of the aroma. That was that almond nut, like almond buttery sweetness on the finish on this one. So I kind of get this like slight kind of leatheriness, but it kind of goes a little bit grainy, and I also get a little bit of that kind of almond nut, like unsalted, just I don't know what to call that, unadulterated.
Unadulterated almond.
The vanilla seems to be coming on a little bit in the taste as it warms up too. I don't know if you're getting vanilla or not. But I think it's really well balanced.
More wood. I wish it was like this more barrel.
I like the amount of barrels. So for me, see, this is the thing. I'm trying to think of like negatives. No, I know they have, special variants. One's an Angel's Envy. The other one is, gosh, what's the other one? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'm assuming that it's probably Heaven Hill. That seems to be like for their standard variant. They have in the past used Heaven Hill. So I would guess, because they don't specify on the label, that it's probably the same barrels. But I don't know.
From watching reviews, that
you could probably go to their website.
Those two guys who do the review in Baltimore, the guy who offered you the beer once, John, years ago. I don't even know his name.
21090.
He offered you bourbon.
21090 Brewing. Yeah,
right. They do the whole thing.
They get every variant every year.
They do everything. I know where they get it from, but they get it early, and they did it. They said it was 4 different barrels in this one: Heaven Hill and 3 others that are involved in this. And it's not posted anywhere, but they were able to get it from somebody. So it was 4 different barrels in this. And I think it's ones I've heard of too. So, it's not like
I'm definitely feeling
it's obscure.
Okay. You're definitely what? Feeling it?
I'm feeling booze. You can't really taste it. Like it's well hidden. I've definitely got a buzz. I got a glow about me.
It's funny. I'm getting it too. I'm getting it too, but I can't taste it. So there's no booziness in the taste. It's just booziness in your head. It's coming. It's coming on strong now. But I find this to be really well balanced too. But I'm with Bumpy that the end does tail off a little bit at the bottom. But I'm so happy with the middle, I almost don't care.
We had for Thanksgiving when I was down in Alabama, my mom made these bacon wrapped dates, and she put brown sugar on top and baked it in the oven. We mentioned caramelized sugar, which is more toffee. I'm also getting brown sugar, so I'm getting brown sugar and toffee. The more I sip on it, the more I sip on it, the more the toffee kind of is more reminiscent of brown sugar. So, which is different. If you've had toffee, I don't know, with toffee, I always think of more of a Werther's Original type of thing, but even deeper than that, like in the flavor. And then brown sugar, you get a little bit more sweet and almost a spice kick. Not cinnamon, but it's just got a little bit more of just a different flavor profile. Yeah,
I'd say it's a touch. I'd say it's a touch molasses.
Like that black
it's not quite caramel, it's not quite toffee, it's more kind of molasses type.
Yeah, it's definitely got that in there, that nice kind of rich sweetness. And it's not cloying. It works well because you get, like with the vanilla and then the oak, that woody character, it kind of offsets some of that, so you don't get any bitterness really. I'll tell you that. We mentioned the 60 IBUs, not really getting any bitterness, so to speak. On the back end.
The color of this is black.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
This is as black as black gets. There's no in the reservoir. It's just black. There's no red hues. There's no.
Yeah. Right. Yes, Robert. Robert says he's going to try to find one strictly based on John. No, yeah, I would definitely seek it out this year, Robert. This is one of the better years in recent memory for me. I think we're kind of all on the same page with that.
Not for me. It's not the better one.
Oh well, not for Bumpy. Bumpy's kind of a hard ass. So, but it's fine.
I'm not saying it's bad though. It's definitely not bad. It's excellent.
Right. Do you?
I'm nitpicking.
What would you say your favorite year is, Bumpy? Right.
I don't remember. There was one that Robert the Whiskey Scout was on with us. I think Miscellaneous may have been on with us. There was just one that we all were here, and that one maybe it was just more company, and it was just super exciting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just remember getting so many long lasting flavor notes. You could sip down that Bourbon County and then you just have like lasting flavor. I think I like some things that leave a lasting flavor, so you can kind of just enjoy it instead of being like, okay, well, the flavors have ended. We got to go back for more right now.
Yeah. See, I kind of find that it's in the middle. It's not a super lingering finish, but it doesn't drop off super quick either for me. Like I'm getting a little bit of the dark fruit and the tobacco and the barrel that lingers just a little bit. But the thing I like about the drop off, is that it is so good, and it's such a great sipper that when it drops off, you want to go back in for another sip, and it's such a enjoyable drinking experience.
I did drink some of this before, so I'm not sure if maybe that's
a little whiskey to get you started.
Yeah, I had some whiskey before joining, so I don't know if that's making it fall off quicker.
That's an interesting looking whiskey there. I've never is that a local?
No, it's not local. Tennessee.
Tennessee, wow.
Yeah.
I like the label. That's pretty cool. Man, what else to say about this beer? Chocolate, we mentioned that. That's definitely there in the middle with the roasted malt. It's amazing how you can get so many barrel notes and just complexity without it drinking like a 14.6. It doesn't. I mean, 14.6 is way up there. For it to not be burning and super boozy and as pleasant as it is, I mean, that's a victory right there. And that's an indication of just the process, making this beer, how refined it is and how amazing the quality of this beer is. And as the wine continues to warm up, it's just more dark fruit and more oak. The oak is starting to come through a little bit more as it warms.
The cherry note kind of comes back,
which I didn't have a super cold. Yeah. For me, it's not so much cherry as dark. Like when you say cherry, would you say like a black cherry, or when I think of cherry, like the default is like a maraschino cherry, and obviously that's not what you're getting. I'm assuming it's more of like a dark cherry, like a
like a Michigan cherry or whatever.
Okay.
So a bit of a bitter.
Ian says Bourbon County. Bourbon County tends to sell out fast when a store gets it. It depends on the area, really. Like here, I can go to Lincoln Liquors up the street and get this year's Bourbon County, last year's, all the way back to, I would say, 2020. So there's usually always at least a few years available, at least at one place around here. So I guess it just depends on where you go. If like I do a lot of beer shopping, I go to a lot of different places to try to find beers, but maybe your average grocery store or that type of place that would sell it might sell out quickly, but we don't have alcohol available at grocery stores up here. Everything is like independently owned craft beer and wine and liquor stores. So it's a little bit different market up here, which I don't know if it's that way in Pennsylvania, but anyway.
John, beside Heaven Hill, there's something called Angel's Envy. Have you heard of those bourbon barrels?
Yeah.
Yes, they have. That's
another one that's here. That's one of the four. Angel's Envy in this.
There's actually a 2023 Angel's Envy specialty variant this year as well, where I guess they just age it strictly in the Angel's Envy barrels. So that's interesting. So you get a little Angel's Envy, a little Heaven Hill.
But they're not telling you what percentage they're using either. It could be, different rates by how much they put in. Let's see if I can find the other two. It's not on the site. I'm not giving it to you on the site, but maybe one of these side things will do it. Because where I saw it, they had gotten it from somewhere and they gave it on their review. But I'm enjoying this a lot. I mean, it's definitely top notch, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't regen ahead, that's for sure.
No, but let's see if I'm getting any. See if I can find any alcohol legs here. Actually, yeah, a little bit. I'm getting alcohol legs.
Okay, I have another one of the barrels. Elijah Craig.
Ooh,
is that a famous barrel? I don't even know.
That's a very good bourbon. Elijah Craig small batch.
I think that they're all
awesome,
part of the
awesome
same distillery, though.
That's possible.
Yeah, because you have only a handful of distilleries, and they have all these other, like Jack Daniel's does. I'm not sure which ones. If Tanner was here, he'd know, or some other whiskey.
Isn't there a big Sazerac distillery?
Or Robert's
I don't
here.
know if that's where these come from.
Yeah, Sazerac.
That's another whiskey, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who they're through, but
there's the
Sazerac is its own. Yeah. Elijah Craig, yum. Yeah, Robert. This is.
We'll see if Robert. Do you know who owns like each one of those? Is that like a Jack Daniel's? Is that like a Jim Beam? Elijah Craig, Heaven's Hill, Angel's Envy, and you said what was the other one?
Angel's Envy, the Craig one. What was the Craig one? Elijah Craig and Heaven Hill.
Elijah Craig.
We don't know who the fourth one is. There is a fourth one too.
Okay.
Right.
Creative Vibrations is here, John.
I see that. Cheers, Angie. Yeah, got some good people in the chat. Ian, Robert, Angie. We had Tanner and Lep and Josh and Bourbon Bounty in here. So some good comments. Man, this is one too, and I would say this is pretty much with all years of the Bourbon County. This is one that you want to sip on and kind of let warm up a little bit as you're getting through it, because it does develop in the glass. Even the aromas start to open up a little bit as it warms. I'm noticing more dark fruit and more oak. The more that it warms, the more dark fruit and oak that I'm getting. And when I say oak, I mean like the woody notes, but the vanilla specifically from the oak.
And you're getting the vanilla in the taste as well, more than I did at the beginning.
Yeah. I always mention tobacco. Do you guys pick up on like a sweet tobacco note as well, or is that just?
I had a bigger tobacco note in the first nose I had than I've had in the taste, but it's mild if it's there.
The tobacco goes with raisin, because I used to chew, and tobacco has a huge raisin flavor.
Yeah. Okay.
But since we've had all these different ones in the past, this one does seem to be particularly well balanced to me. At least the center of it for sure. What you're sipping on, and all the different flavors meld together well.
Right. Oh. I think this might be the most carbonated Bourbon County I've ever had. It's still not a highly carbonated beer, but it's just got that just really fine bubbliness. I don't know. It's definitely got more carbonation, I think, this year than in years prior. Which,
now I poured the rest of what I had. You notice it generated a head again, but you can tell by looking at this head that it's short-lived. It'll be 5 minutes, that'll be gone. But it is leaving alcohol legs on the side of the glass.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it is more carbonated too. It's giving me a little bit more.
Yeah, no matter how much I swirl it around, it is not going to regenerate a head. But you can see the alcohol legs as I'm doing that, though. Actually, you know what? Hey, Bourbon County's calling my bluff here, because the more I do
get
this,
a little bit of head back.
I'm actually, look at that. There you go.
Yeah,
little head.
You got it.
And
look at the alcohol. Look at the alcohol legs too, to the side.
Yeah. So you can regenerate a head if you're patient enough to swirl it around for about 30 seconds or so.
You also get lots of legs of alcohol.
Oh yeah.
You paint the glass with alcohol.
Bumpy, as an aside, and I guess John too, has anybody had a chance to taste any of Beer Man's latest productions that he's done from his new brewery?
Latest. I mean,
No.
he's sending stuff out right now. So we should be receiving a black IPA done New England style.
Because he did some Ox Forge stuff for Eric's band.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that is either.
Yeah, so that's what's going to be coming out. But other than that, yeah, we had a few like I think it was like his third batch or so that he sent out. Pretty darn good.
No,
So
I'm sure
Rob-
he's a good
Pretty
brewer.
darn good. Yeah. I'd been brewing for I don't know a decade straight, and nothing I ever made touched what Beer Man ended up sending out. So his first batch stuff they sent out, I think I had invested then, but then he made
Maybe it's the Oregon water.
real quick changes. Well, he's not like super new to brewing either. He does he had brewed previously, so
Yeah, the only batch I got was the very first, which he sent to me, and Bumpy and I had reviewed the Georgia on My Mind, which was the peach infused stout, and the other one was the Mr. Rye Machine, which was an interesting beer, the rye ale, rye IPA. So Jean-Pierre's in the chat. Good evening to you. Robert was saying that they're all different distilleries, and then here you go. Heaven Hill is
Buffalo Trace is the other one. Buffalo Trace is the fourth one.
Okay.
all right. So yeah, that makes sense. So it is a lot
Buffalo,
of the same.
It's those three, and Angel's Envy is the fourth one.
Yeah, Buffalo
Right.
Trace. That's where I get a lot of that medicinal cherry note. So that's possibly where that cherry note comes from. It's not medicinal in this, but
it's very pleasant.
yeah,
Nothing-
Buffalo Trace is huge on cherry.
Nothing medicinal about this bad boy here. You guys want to go ahead and start thinking about ratings? What do you guys? I mean, I think we're all going to be in the A category.
I got a score.
How high are we
I think
going?
I have my score too.
All right.
What are we doing? Are we doing hundreds?
Yeah, you can try to do 100 if you can, or if you don't feel if you're just do a 0 to 100.
Bumpy, before you
comfortable
give your
doing
rating, Bumpy, I have a question. If
For Michael's
you do find the finish to be not as good, would that affect the rating strongly or just marginally? Or does that vary?
I think this is a good enough beer that it's not going to. It's not like it's not going to knock it down 10 points because it's just that horrible.
Right. That's fair then.
It's definitely a couple point knockoff though.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Everybody's
All right,
taste is different, and everybody's score will be different. So.
Yeah, I think we'll all be kind of close though.
Yeah, Elbow, good luck with that. I have never found any of the variants other than the flavored ones, like just that type of thing with the lower ABVs. I've never been able to find any of the variants that were aged in different barrels. Like there was like last year, I think it was, they had an Old Forester barrel aged one. This year they've got the Angel's Envy, the Eagle Rare. They had a Blanton's barrel-aged version one year back in, I think it was 2021. They had a Blanton's barrel-aged. So, unfortunately, I don't know why. I think you can only get those close to the Chicago area where they're actually produced. Or if you know somebody like 21090, they'll send them to you.
Oh no, wait, that's Barton. Barton is Willet.
No, Blanton's I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was thinking Blanton's was, but it's Barton's or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. There may be. Yeah, I mean, they've had so many. They had a book.
I was at the liquor store today looking at bourbons, and that's what I saw.
They had a Booker's barrel aged one year too, which Booker's is made by Jim Beam, I believe, but it's like their very high end, like 10-year bourbon, and it comes in like a wooden box with a glass front. So but yeah, they've had some really good specialty barrel aged versions, but I've never been able to get any of them. And Shane Fudge just joined us. He's in the chat. Howdy, Shane.
You know you've had a good night when it's 8:36 and it feels like it's midnight.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit. I mean, it's just kind of creeping in a little bit. But you can tell this is where the alcohol gets you because it drinks so smooth. But about half an hour in,
it starts getting you toasty in your head as the flavors are going through. For sure, you feel it,
right?
And I'm trying to mix it with water. I'm drinking water too.
Okay, that's probably a good idea.
I find if I don't, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Bumpy, I want to know what your score is first, since you're.
Oh, you want me to go first?
A little bit less impressed. Yeah, go first.
It's going to be still the lowest expert range. I'm gonna score this year's at a 96.
Fair. All right. Michael, I think you know where I'm at. This is one of my favorite years. I'm not going to give it 100, but I'm going to go 99. For me, this is as close to perfection as it gets. I like that they're back up to that 14.6. I think it allows some of the barrel notes to come through a little bit more, and the dark fruit and cherry and just everything just works so well. And for me too, that tobacco and that raisin type, prevalency is really nice. So where are you at, Michael?
I'm gonna give it a 98, and I'm not knocking off the point for the finish necessarily, even though I agree a little bit that the finish does tail a little bit. But I think if I remember back to that 2017, I gave that a 99. And this is just a little bit less to me. But it's certainly there. I mean, it's very, very close. And I don't give hundreds. So this is the second highest rating I can give. So I have given some 99s.
For me, it's got to be 99 because it's the best one that I can remember having, dating all the way back to either 2017 and 2018. And I wouldn't necessarily say that one was better. I'd have to have do a side-by-side, which really wouldn't be fair at this stage anyway, because there's so much more age. If you could find a 2017 or 2018 bottle now, it's been aging. So, of course, it's going to be better than if you had bought it, like 2017 fresh, 2023 fresh, side-by-side. You'd have to do some time traveling stuff, to be able to pull that off. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. I would say,
John, how does this compare with the earlier variant you had, which it wasn't a straight Bourbon County, the first one you had? Do you remember the one I'm talking about?
The Northwoods Stout edition with the blueberry puree and the almond extract.
How does this compare with that?
It is.
I think you gave that a 99 too.
I think I may have given that one 100. It was probably because that was the first Bourbon County that I ever had, and I was so blown away by it that I think I gave that one 100. If I were to review that same beer now, it would probably get a 98 or a 99. This one is just as good as that, and now, having had so many Bourbon Counties over the years, I would probably give the nod to this one because it's an original variant. Sometimes the additives, as good as they may be, take away from the barrel presence, and they kind of mask some of that dark fruit and tobacco and oak. So the variants, although they're amazing as well, a lot of them, I can't say that I've had a variant that I liked more than the original, because the original, the OG, man, it's got all that bourbon flavor and just all of those tasting notes, and they're not masked by additives. So
if we go back to the earlier years of Bourbon County, they used to always make a barley wine as well, which wasn't a stout, but it was barrel aged. And I don't know, did you ever get a chance to try one of the barley wines that they made? They were probably over 14%, so maybe you would have had trouble getting them in.
I did, though. When I went to visit Ron Terrio in New Orleans, I went to this little package store with David Garlipeed, and I found, I think it was a 2018 or 2019, it was the wheat, well, it wasn't a barley wine, it was a wheat wine. The yellow label wheat wine was 15.2 or 15.4. It was that one, I believe I gave 100, actually. It was probably the best.
So, because it seems, and the ones before that weren't wheat wine, they were straight barley wines in 15 and 16.
Yeah.
I had a couple of those. And the co-op used to always have both the standard stout and the barley wine in fairly large amounts. You could get both.
Yeah.
And then they started changed it to wheat wine. It wasn't barley wine anymore. Those were always really good too, but it's different than a stout because it doesn't have, it's barrel aged, but it's more alcohol-y and boozy than these are, to me anyway.
Yes, I think the lighter body kind of allows for the alcohol to come through a little bit more. I will say that the two best wheat wines I've ever had are the Bourbon County wheat wine that I had, and the other one was a 2015 Smutty Nose wheat wine that Bumpy and I reviewed a couple years back. Unfortunately, they no longer make it. Smutty Nose was bought out years ago, and they don't really have barrel-aged beers anymore. They just make a lot of standard lagers and ales, which are good, but they're not nearly what they used to be. So those two, for me to remember those after all those years, the Bourbon County and the Smutty Nose, I mean, those are like top beers I've had ever. Same thing with the first couple Bourbon Counties I've had. I think, obviously that Northwoods one was game changing because it was a variant, but it was the first Bourbon County I had ever had. So that was a game changer. And then the first time I got to try the original Bourbon County that was over 14%, which I believe was when Miscellaneous sent you all
vertical. 3 years. Sent you all 3 years.
He sent me the 2017, 18, and 19, and I know we examined all three of them at different points on my channel years ago, but that was quite an experience. I'd love to be able to get a vertical pack again, or actually I could go to the store and I can buy multiple years and just have some friends over and open all 3 years
and do a vertical. You can do a vertical at the same time.
Exactly. But I wouldn't be able. I'd have to have people over. If I drank 3 bottles of Bourbon County by myself, I'd be.
You might be laid out.
Right. So we've got a 99, a 98, and a 96. Yep. So for everybody out there watching, I think you know what to do. If you haven't already had the Bourbon County 2023, you definitely should go out and buy a bottle, especially considering that the OG is half the price of the variants. So you're going to pay less money. Right. You're going to get more bourbon barrel aging notes, and you're going to get higher alcohol too, because all of the variants, other than the really specialty ones like the Angel's Envy and the Elijah Craig, those variants that we can't get here that you can pretty much only get in Chicago. You're going to get more bang for your buck all the way around.
If you drink it too fast, you might lose your face.
You might.
Bumpy, I was mentioning to John before we went on, before you came on, that my friend Doug did not like the Bananas Foster variant of this year.
Yeah, I've heard a lot.
He paid twice as much, and he said it was like a cinnamon
banana bread.
The cinnamon overpowered the base beer. And he said that's never a good thing in a variant if the variant itself overpowers. The base beer has to work in coordination with whatever you're trying to do. And he said it tasted like a cinnamon bomb. So that's never good. And there's no question that the Willetized by Lagunitas is priced better than anything you've ever seen for what you're getting. So I agree with that. It's 13%, and you get it for $3 for a 12-ounce bottle. You can't beat that. No matter, it's and you can consistently get that everywhere wherever they sell it too, which is a good thing.
Right, you could buy a 4-pack of the Willetized 12-ounce bottles for $11 here, maybe $12.
I paid 12. I paid 12 for it.
Yeah,
but, I mean, it could be discounted, I guess.
I would say that's the best deal in, as far as barrel-aged stouts are concerned. That's the best deal on the market. That, and if you're lucky enough to be able to find the Sierra Nevada barrel-aged Norwal, which I have not. I can only I only see the straight Norwal, but if you can find
I've only seen the straight one.
But people tell me that the barrel-aged Norwal is also available in certain areas in 4-packs for like $12 to $14. I haven't seen it. So for overall accessibility and awesome barrel-aged stout ability, you can't go wrong with the Willetized from Lagunitas. But I do think that the Bourbon County overall is a better product than the Willetized. Not to take away from the Willetized. I love the Willetized stout, but I do think that the Bourbon County is better. It's a better barrel-aged product. It's just got more complexity, more depth of flavor.
I haven't been happy with Lagunitas recently.
Oh, okay.
Well, since they're no longer owned by themselves, their actual
they're now a Heineken brand. Am I correct?
Yeah, they keep them in stores longer. They don't move. Update the product as much. So you're getting older product, and I'm just tired of buying old IPAs that taste like tea.
Right. Which for the stouts is not, because I don't buy Lagunitas IPAs anymore because I'm not a fan of the more West Coast type IPAs, and that's traditionally what they make. But for the barrel-aged stuff like the Willetized, it doesn't necessarily matter. You get an old bottle.
I hardly see that though. It's basically getting the pale ales, the little something, but it's not moving. And then they advertise it as being fresh on the box, and then when you look at the can date, it's like 4 to 5 months old. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So Josh can get the barrel-aged Norwal, and apparently they have a barrel-aged black stout as well, which I didn't know. Sierra Nevada. I've never heard of that, Josh. And then he goes on to say that the Lagunitas, the Born Yesterday, which I've had before but not recently, it's not as good as it was years ago. That's probably one of the ones. That one and I think it's the Little Something Ale are probably the two most popular in my area that I can find, and I don't really buy either one of them anymore just because been there, done that. Too bitter, piney, resinous for my personal. Not that they're not a great beer, but just not really my go-to.
Just to mention this, you can't get this anymore, but I'm going to mention this. Do you remember the 6 Point Master Blend, which was their original barrel-aged deal?
Yeah.
And since they've been in this artisanal, they don't do any of that stuff anymore. Now they're more just, like you say, straight line IPAs. And that is the one negative that happens usually when companies are taken over. It hasn't happened with Bourbon County because they were so big to begin with. They weren't going to wreck a division that's so profitable. But in other companies, they're not as likely to do experimental things. And now they just go across. They're trying to make maximum profit,
and that's one thing too. Yeah, we talk about the Bourbon County line. They don't mess with that. It's InBev, Anheuser-Busch, but it might as well be its own independent thing because that they do not screw around with that line. It's out of Chicago. Nope. They've had the same people making that beer for years and years. Anheuser-Busch doesn't touch it, which is why I like it so much, and which is why Josh should give it a chance, because it's not like the other Anheuser-Busch products. It's its own little untouched, unsullied sector. And
Bumpy, I have another question for you, which you might be able to answer. Do you think that when you do cellar cans of barrel-aged stuff versus bottles, it can be a carbonation issue if you hold on to them for years, where bottles tend to, for whatever reason, hold the carbonation better?
You think bottles hold carbonation?
I'm not sure. I just, I've sat on.
The thing about a bottle is the bottle top actually has areas where it can introduce oxygen and it can release gases. The bottle cap's not 100% airtight,
and the can is sealed,
the cans
shouldn't be doing it.
They're perforated like around, but they're not opened ever, and they're sealed super tight. So the cans should hold better carbonation. It should not allow oxygen in zero light as well is the other thing.
Because I've been sitting on, I've mentioned to you, John, I still have some of the Black is Beautiful from 6 Point. And what I've decided to do now, it's stupid to keep sitting on them. Every couple of months, I just have one. And that's it. And when I say carbonation issue, I don't think it's that much of an issue. It just seems like the carbonation isn't as good as when they were new. But maybe that's just related to a time thing. They've only been there 2.5 years. And I found a Cojito Cowboy in there too that was 3 years old, because you got to try one, but that was before your flight, so that's a different story.
It was a wonderful beer, but I really wished I had saved it and enjoyed it at a better time when I wasn't already 6 weeks to the wind.
Things work out that way sometimes, and that's it. At least you had a good flight the next day, and now you're married and everything is cool. So congratulations, by the way.
Oh yeah,
the thing that might be different though is a lot of caps. I was just thinking about this as former home brewer. They have oxygen caps. Yeah, they have oxygen caps, which have this little thing that they absorb oxygen, which cans do not. So when you can something, it gets filled up. There is going to be oxygen that can be introduced, when it is canned. And it's not going to have an oxygen absorbing product on the top, which the bottle caps a lot of times.
Okay, so that could be it too. That might be it.
Yeah, but it's interesting though, Michael, that you have had that experience with the cans having seemingly lost some of the carbonation, because like Bumpy's saying, the bottles are more likely to lose it, not the cans. So I wonder what that's about. Like, what if it's
it's hard to say, but the product itself is still really good. So it's not like by a little lack of the carbonation it changes the taste. Right. If you remember,
because you're not looking at a super high carbonated product anyway.
No, they weren't super highly carbonated. But if you remember, the Black is Beautiful was 14%, so it wasn't like it was low alcohol. So that was vanilla. Vanilla was the key flavor in that. And it's held the vanilla flavor really well. But those were, if you remember, those were boozy. So in other words, all those higher alcohol ones, those are boozier than these. In other words, the Bourbon County is less boozy in its taste profile than those 6 Point. The Master Blend was just a separate thing that was just terrific. That was like 13% also. But it was short-lived. They did it, and then that was it. They never canned it again.
Right. Yeah, how many of those do you have left? You said you drank one.
I still have a lot. I don't know if you remember what I did during the COVID. 6 Point couldn't have people coming to the brewery because the brewery had to be closed because of COVID. So what they were doing is they were giving good deals if you were willing to buy large volume. And I think what I did was I bought a case of it, which is 24 cans. And the regular price was like $7.50 for each 16-ounce can. I think I got them for $6, which is still a lot if you think about it for a 16-ounce can. But it was really good. And you did have the Black is Beautiful on a straight head, where you remember that because there were two different ones. So the first one you had from the first group that I sent you. So you had that, and you probably remember that.
Yes.
That's different from the Cojito Cowboy, which is 15.4.
The Coquito Cowboy, a little stronger. And, of course, with the Coquito Cowboy, you had the coconut in there, which –
there was coconut. But see, at that stage when you had it, you probably couldn't taste the coconut because you had already had 4 beers before. And Bumpy, if you haven't heard the story, John was doing okay, or seemed to be doing okay. And then he wasn't. And he had to leave for his flight the next day. And
it just when you're drinking that much high alcohol stuff,
it catches up with you after a while.
It just something clicks all at once, and that's it. Down for the count.
No, there's nothing you can do. It catches up with you, and after it catches up with you, just better off stopping because you can't drink anymore. It'll just,
right.
It does you in, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right at an hour, going on an hour here, so we can go ahead and wrap up the live part of the examination here if you guys want.
Sounds good.
That bourbon, that looks really good, Bumpy. That's a dark,
whiskey.
Rich color. It's not bourbon?
Whiskey. Tennessee whiskey.
Same difference.
Yeah, it's pretty much. It's just in Tennessee. Yeah, it's
they just don't like. It's like Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey.
Aged over 4 years. Super strong oaky. It's 100 proof. Yeah.
Nice.
Sour mash rather than Kentucky straight.
Maybe I'll get to try some. Bumpy's come up. We're gonna do some reviews and hang out.
Oh, you want me to bring the bottle with me?
I do actually.
You'd like a taste.
I would like.
I got it on sale, so it was a $53 bottle, and I got it for $38.
There you go. That's got the Rontario seal of approval right there. That's a Louisiana deal. What's that? Savannah discount prices right there. All right. Whiskey Scout says he's going to drink a Delirium Tremens. That's an excellent beer right there. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Really quick recap for anybody who may have joined late. We're all drinking the 2023 Bourbon County Stout Original variant, and we all gave it excellent marks. Bumpy 96, Michael Kormoff 98, and myself 99, which for me falls into a world-class range. If you can get it in your area, you definitely, which for the most part you should be able to unless you live in a state that has alcohol limits,
like Utah,
like in Alabama or Georgia, anything over 14%. This year's is 14.6. So you may have to travel to get it, but if you like barrel-aged stouts, it doesn't get much better than this, in my personal opinion. Excellent beer. Thanks to Michael and Bumpy for joining me on this examination. And we'll have to do another one in another month or two. We'll do some other, maybe you guys can find one of the variants. We can all get the same thing and do something like that.
I'll ask.
Or we could do, Alex called me out the other day. CBS is back this year for the first time since 2019. So maybe we could do like a CBS thing or something like that. The 2023 CBS.
Sounds great.
I'll be on the lookout for that. Anyway, cheers to everybody in the chat. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Had some great comments and conversation going on there. So that'll do it for this live examination of the 2023 Goose Island Bourbon County Stout. Hope everybody out there is having a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your week, and stay safe out there. And until next time, everybody, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.